Falcons fans, welcome into episode 20 of Out of Your Falcon Mind, an Atlanta Falcons fan cast. My name is John. I am your host. I am joined by a special guest host tonight because Mike had a last second takeoff for the week. His brother came down to South Carolina and got a cabin, and he hasn't seen him in forever because of COVID and all this mess. So he couldn't pass that up. So he bolted out yesterday. I don't know if he even got to see the game, but we definitely texted about it. But he is going to be gone for the week. So sitting in is my lifelong friend, good friend, actually close friend. Dude was in my wedding. He was a groomsman. Known him we were just trying to figure it out, I guess, 32 freaking years or so. Big Falcons fan. So that is Troy Nixon. That is my co-host. Troy, what's going on, buddy?
What's happening, John? Thanks for having me on, man. And really enjoyed the last, I guess, 19 now episodes. Pretty awesome. Hard to believe. Right. But yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I should have led with that. I should let. Troy is a listener of the podcast, so he does. It's not going to be like he has no idea what we're doing here. So, like I said, longtime fan. Did you go to the game Sunday? Did you end up going?
I ended up not going. I'm a season ticket holder. I've had season tickets, I think, since 16 now. So ended up not going, but definitely did watch it, and it was it was a good.
Yeah, well, we'll get into it. But so before we go and really get into it, Troy, why don't you just tell us a little bit about how you became a Falcons fan and anything you want to say, your history, basically sports fandom, you name it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So like you said, you and I have known each other for a long time. My family moved to the Atlanta area when I was 2, and we moved to be your basically next door neighbor when I was 4 or 5. So that's how we've known each other for 30 plus years now. So we moved from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So, a lot of my family, including my dad, went to LSU. So, my brother and I were raised to be big LSU fans, but not so much the Saints. I just wanted to throw that out there and clarify for everyone that I am not a Saints fan.
Smart man.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I would say is, a lot of my family, again, Baton Rouge, kind of disassociate themselves from New Orleans. It's kind of two different worlds over there.
Is that right? I didn't really know that.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that's necessarily a blanket statement. I have friends that live in Baton Rouge and even family that are Saints fans, but my dad definitely wasn't. I think he grew up being a Vikings fan. I think it was the French era and Purple People defense back then. So never was a Saints fan, and we were really never instilled to be Saints fans, although we were, kind of forced to be big LSU fans. So yeah, so have grown up a Falcons fan pretty much all my life. Not just Falcons, but Braves, Hawks, Atlanta United. And obviously, as you and I have talked about a million times, have lived through some good days and some bad days. I think I was 13 in 98. And obviously just a few years ago, we all lived through that painful 28-3 debacle, which I will get into. I know you, Mike, dove deep into it on the first episode. So I don't even like talking about it. It still gives me nightmares.
Dude, still, if I start getting going on it, I don't stop. I get up getting angry. Mike gets angry, or whoever I'm talking. It's a bad road to go down. I don't even like. I agree with you. I don't like talking about it either.
So I'm probably, I would call myself probably the second biggest Matt Ryan fan in the world. Mike would have me beat there, but I got a signed Matt Ryan jersey behind me. So I am definitely a big Matty Ice fan, but probably not quite as big as good old Mike. Yeah,
Mike's another level. Which I love him for it. I mean, I can't disagree with most of it, to be honest. I mean, it's not that Matt has been the least of our problems his entire career. So
that's exactly my thoughts. A big part of the reason why, we're 7-8 this year is because of Matt. So
I mean, imagine, just a mid-tier quarterback or something like that this year. We're probably drafting 1 or 2, or maybe in the draft. So, and he had a little, he had 2 or 3 weeks there. We kind of gave it to him because he wasn't, and it was starting. I think it kind of started with that Cowboys game where he started just getting blasted, and that was kind of the start of him not having a run of good games. But I think that, like Mike and I talked about, I mean, when you're getting hit, I mean that goes into your thought process every drop back. You're thinking, I got to get the ball out. I got to get the ball out. So sometimes, I think he was missing progression or missing some of the throws because he wasn't able to go through all his progressions because he's able to maybe get two, at the most, and then he's getting hammered or, something. So, I mean, we said that stat on the last show. He's been hit like 20 to 30 more times than the next closest guy. I mean,
that's to me says it all. I mean, the fact that he's had the career he has in light of statistics like that is just pretty impressive.
Blowing. Yeah, and then to be his age, and just take some. I mean, it's not like he's getting like just pushed down. I mean, like dudes are falling on him. He's getting. But I mean, that play in San Francisco, running into the group of freaking 5 or 6 49ers, and I mean, no one is about to get just destroyed. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, like Troy was saying, I mean, we literally grew up as neighbors. We played, I don't know how many basketball games, football games, everything. I mean, for years. And so, yeah, I really appreciate him sitting in on the show, and hopefully will be a regular on the show as we go forward with this thing. And before we really get started too, wanted to let everybody know how to get in touch with us. You can email us at atlfalconfancast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Out of Your Falcon Mind. On Twitter at Out of Your Effing Mind, and there's a Facebook group you can join if you're interested. There's some discussion does go on in there as well. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, which our analytics say a lot of you are, if you could take the time to leave us a 5-star review, we would greatly appreciate it. That helps other Falcons fans find us. We're going to say it every episode because it just, like I said, it just helps us move up the list of Falcons fan or podcast, fancast, whatever you want to call it. And then Spotify actually just recently have added where you can rate podcasts on there now. So you can go on there and you don't have to type anything. You literally just go to, I think it's just rate podcasts and click 5 stars, and that's that. So, and if you're either one of those, Spotify or iTunes, we greatly appreciate the 5-star reviews, and the ones that have left them already. Thanks so much for that. And that's very much appreciated. And getting on to a little bit of Falcons news. I listened to the Arthur Smith press conference today a little bit, and it was interesting. I mean, they asked him, like about Kyle this year and how, Kyle credited Arthur for helping him kind of get through the season and in one piece and kind of like helped him really navigate it. And Arthur just said, well, I like building relationships with each player, not just Kyle, but he said, I think it's important to get to know each player differently as a person, because, different thing is going to make other guys tick, that make other guys, respond and everything. So I thought that was cool. Because I mean, the season he's had, and he also said, he said all the hype around Kyle, that he's living up to it. And it just kind of shows what type of guy he is, that not everyone can do that, and, when he was drafted, I mean, I don't know, what did you think when he was drafted? Were you like, awesome, or what?
I'll be honest. I was kind of in the camp of either like Stoll, offensive line help, or Justin Fields, to be honest with you. I was kind of looking for that next guy Mike, but to replace Matt at some point. So I was not excited. I mean, it's unprecedented to draft a tight end as high as he has. And I mean, to be honest, he's proven to be that dude. He can Tony Gonzalez or, kind of top tier, even, call it wide receiver, he's tight end obviously, but he's the guy. I mean, he's had a great year, and I have zero complaints about him.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I was a little iffy at first too. I knew he did at Florida. I mean, you and I both watch a lot of SEC football, so we saw him, what he could do there. But yeah, I was kind of in the same boat. I was like, man, that's really, really, really high to take a tight end, especially and I didn't think Matt was going to be replaced immediately, but there was 5 quarterbacks in the first round this year. It was a pretty deep class.
Yeah.
So I was with you. I was kind of surprised, but happy, because like you said, I mean, he's the first rookie tight end in history to have 60 plus catches and over 900 yards in this rookie season, which is,
amazing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, just think about where we would be without him this year, especially.
Well, especially no Ridley, and then you didn't have him. Well, Russell Gage, number 1.
Russell Gage, yeah.
That's it. And Hayden Hurst. I mean, come on.
Yep. It's a Kiss.
Yeah. I mean, just crazy, but it's true. It's rare. It's rare for a guy, especially and you don't really receive. I mean, I guess you more today than you used to, but like receivers not really in a position that you see somebody pop on the stage and just excel like that. Normally it takes a little bit of adjustment for them receivers, and then same for tight ends. But yeah, he's lived up to it and then some. I mean, he seems to have a really good work ethic, good head on his shoulders. So no complaints there whatsoever. And also talked about the mentality and the approach for him is key to having sustained success and being able to close down those one possession games, especially be good in situational football. And that's what Mike and I have talked about a lot, is just the mentality of the team. We want to see, like, this that old school bruiser type, I'm going to kick your ass type of mentality, because that's what in this league, I mean, you got to have other to be successful. I mean, you saw against the 49ers, we just got manhandled, that was that's the team like I'd kind of want us to act like, what I mean, as far as who we played this year. Yeah. And same thing with Dallas. I mean, Dallas, what you watching on the game last night? Dismantled freaking
absolutely
Washington.
I mean, that was two different classes of teams. I mean, it really was. It wasn't NFL.
No, I know. And so, I agree with him on that. And I know he's called a lot of flack, Arthur has, on situational calls this year, which, I mean, some I can agree with, because I mean, that Washington game, which Mike and I have talked about. I mean, we could have iced that game by being just a little bit more aggressive, but I mean, it looked like DQ 2.0. It was like three dives and punt, and then they score, and so I mean, I think he's learning. He's just like any other first year head coach. I mean, it's the folks that are screaming to he should be gone and he's not the answer. You can't say that in 1 year of a coach. You can't. I mean, especially, I think we've got maybe, I don't know, hell, 20 guys or more on 1 year contracts. The team is young. I mean, when we've more than doubled our win total from last year. So, I mean, and that's the biggest difference, is we're actually winning those one possession games. Whereas last year under DQ, that was his mantra. He could not close out a game to save his life.
Yeah, you guys said it last week, but the difference in the season is the close games, and what are they, one or whatever in one score games. And I mean, yeah, they're that, they're going 500 in those games away from, a 4 or 5 win season. But the key thing is they won them. They found ways to win, just like yesterday. They should have won the game and then shouldn't have won the game.
Yeah.
And for a coach like Arthur Smith, especially, kind of where they're at in the season, obviously the playoff hopes are, kind of in the background at this point.
Mm-hmm.
To keep your team motivated and to keep fighting all the way, you got to, that's coaching, So,
yep.
I mean, he's made some kind of questionable situational calls this year, but they're 7-8. I mean, they could win 8, could win 9 games, probably not, but they could win 8. And I think Vegas had their season total at 7.5 before the season, and that was when, not knowing what was going to happen with Ridley. So
yeah, I would have took the under on that. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, I would have, if you would have told me that, Calvin Ridley would miss the majority of the season, I would have definitely taken the under on that. So I don't think it's an Arthur Smith problem at all. And like you said, I mean, this is his first year coach, first year to ever be a head coach. So let's give him another couple of years and hopefully we can continue to build around him.
Yeah, like we said last week, I mean, they wanted Shanahan out immediately in that first season. And in season 2, it was, I mean, night and day, and it's kind of similar. I mean, they run very different offenses, but I mean, Arthur is, that's what he's known for, is his, the offensive side of the ball. So I'd like to see, with an actual true number 1 wide receiver and an actual, I mean, I know I would love to have CP back, but I would love to see like an actual skill position running back, whether we do it through trade or free agency or draft or whatever, back there as well. Like, just to see a full complement of resources would be great to use, because if he's getting 7 wins with literally what we've got on offense right now, where there was one play last week, there was 3 dudes assigned to Kyle. Like he was in the end zone with 3 guys around him.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, right.
Going to beat you, Gage. I mean, that's
exactly. So if you had, if we had a Ridley out there or any other number, like a true number 1, or any other, I mean, but that's why Hayden Hurst is getting touchdowns. That's why Lee Smith is getting thrown to in the end zone, because everybody is on Kyle. So yeah, I mean, once I definitely, like I said, you can criticize him for some of the calls he's made, and certain, especially on some of the 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1 stuff like that. But I mean, he's, like I said, he's learning. I mean, there's no way that to me, what drove me nuts about DQ is he would do the same shit over and over again. And it was like he didn't learn from it. He just would continue to do the same thing. And I don't see that happening from Arthur. It looks like he's kind of picking up on what, should do and shouldn't do.
Yep, exactly. You have to be able to, I guess, get over your ego and make adjustments.
Exactly.
Coaches won't do that. A lot of head coaches ends up costing their job, but that's all I ask is just learn and to improve.
Yeah, be open-minded and listen, and go from there. And the last few things that he hit on was talking about how Foyer was basically runs the show now on defense. I mean, he's calls all the plays and has the ability to change and put guys in different spots, and which is great. I mean, if you're middle linebackers from Yale, that's pretty solid, because that's a spot you want to have a pretty smart guy. So it doesn't get much better than Yale. So and he's got the physical attributes to do it as well. So I think that's to get him where they got him as well in the draft. I mean that's been a steal for sure. Fun to, and he said he's been fun to watch. It's fun to watch him grow into that leader on defense. And then lastly, just said that ability to close out games. They ask him, does that help the confidence of the team? And he's like, well, yeah, of course it does, because it shows to them that proves to them they can do it when those situations crop up. Because you can't tell me last year, the year before, when we had leads and they started going away, that it wasn't in those guys' heads. You knew they were thinking, oh, here we go again. And like there's nothing they could do about it. So, I mean, yeah, the confidence thing is just huge. I mean, it's got to be. But leading into that, that leads us right into the game review of the Lions. So, and Mike and I talked about in the last show how the difference. These teams didn't seem that different as far as just everything. I mean, the records, of course, they were different, but the Lions now they're 0-6-1 in one-score games, and we're 7-2.
Yep.
So that's the difference in the season right there. They just have to find, and Jared Goff's not a good quarterback, and that's so those games they probably could have won and closer that they had that chance to win. Well, when Jared Goff's your quarterback, then you're always going to have the chance to make the plays and win those games. When you got Matt Ryan on the other hand, that makes a big difference. But yeah, coming into the game, so we found out before the game that Jared Goff was in COVID protocol. So that meant that the highly vaunted Tim Boyle was going to start. And, I felt pretty confident going into the game that we would win. I felt way more confident when I found out that Jeff, what's his name, was not starting. So I was like, man, okay, so we're good. And then we pop out in the first possession and have 3 sacks in the first 5 plays of the game. And I was a little disheartened, to say the least. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I knew Dan Campbell. Both of us watched Dan Campbell play. I mean, he's a fiery, freaking crazy dude. So a lot of times the players are going to assume the identity of the coach. And those guys, I mean, they fight, man, and they were there to rumble. And I mean that watching, man, dude. We'll get into the PFF grades later, but it's mind-boggling that Jalen Mayfield can be so much better run blocker. I know it's way different because run blocking you're getting off the ball and you're pushing and you're just driving the guy back, whereas pass blocking you're that's different. You're trying to stop the guy from coming at you and not letting them. But I mean, my God, man, the difference that he has in those two different types of blocking is just unbelievable. What have you thought about that guy?
Yeah, I mean,
in general, the offensive line.
No, I mean, I think you pretty well nailed it. Like, how can a professional, I know he's obviously young, but be that drastically different at run block versus pass block? But yeah, I mean, I guess big picture, and yeah, you're right. 3 sacks in the first 5 plays, pretty well summed it up. But the offensive line played pretty poorly. They got better. I mean, I think they get a little better throughout the game, but it was pretty. It was a pretty rough start for Matt, and pretty indicative on his really the entire year of the lack of.
Yeah, I agree.
He's got.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. He did get settled in, or they did get settled in, because after that first drive, that was it. That was the only 3 sacks they allowed the entire game. I mean, Matt did get hit some more, but that was
he was under pressure a lot. But you're right, he didn't go down.
Yeah, and but dude, they were right behind. They were right above us in in as far as sacks for the season. What I mean, right above us, I mean, they were 31st and we're 32nd. So, I mean, neither of us can, but that's why I couldn't believe. I was like, damn, they just got 3 sacks in the first 5 plays.
We didn't get any. So,
right. Yeah. Again. So, and that's what, I mean, I don't want to get off on that, but I mean, that's what I don't know what your thought was on the draft coming up, but I originally was O-line and I've totally changed to edge rusher now. Like it's just so glaring, man. I mean, it's just every week.
Yeah. If they can actually hit, I mean, obviously Beasley and Tack McKinley didn't exactly work out well either. So I know that's definitely what they need is some kind of pass rush, edge rusher, but they got to get the right guy because they haven't had it's a different regime, but
I mean, you hope that, I mean, Fontenot was a guy who took Cam Jordan, right? And some of the guys of it. So I mean, hopefully,
he's got a good track record.
Yeah, he can hopefully, because TD couldn't pick the defensive end to save his life. It wasn't too bad about interior linemen, but as far as the edge rushers, man, it did not work out. But looking at the overall stats in the game, I mean, it was kind of just weird, man. They actually possessed the ball almost 17 minutes longer than we did. They were able to run the ball with DeAndre Swift didn't play again, which was huge because if he'd have played, that could have been a different story. I mean, he's a game-changing type of running back. So they didn't have him. Their leading rusher was Jamal Williams, who didn't do terrible. I mean, he had 19 carries, 77 yards, 4.1 yards a carry. And then Amos St. What was his last name? The wide receiver.
St. Brown.
Ramon St. Brown. Yeah. I mean, he tore it up. I mean, but they weren't. I mean, you and I were texting actually during the game, and it's not like, Tim was going downfield on us. It was just, a lot of short passes and dink and dunk and whatnot. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, he like you said, he didn't exactly light it up, but he did enough to win. And I think the thing is, we made him look a lot better than he probably is. I'm not going to pretend like I know much about Tim Boyle.
I had no idea who he was.
There's a reason why he's the backup quarterback on one of the worst teams in the NFL, and we didn't get. I think you and I, if we had all day, could complete some passes.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
He picked us apart just because he had all day. I mean, NFL caliber quarterback's going to do that. You got to get pressure.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. They ran 68 plays to our 45. They had 338 yards. We had 254. We both had 8 drives. Theirs just lasted a lot longer than ours did. Down to the rushing, and we only rushed for 47 yards. And that's disappointing because we got off to a nice little run there for a bit, and then like San Francisco stopped us pretty hard, and then of course now this week. Rushing, we only rushed it 18 times, and then they rushed it for 33 times. Red zone opportunities, they were 0 for 4, which was kind of big. I mean, that was obviously a big difference in the game there. Turnovers, they had the big one at the end, obviously with Foye, the interception at the end that sealed the game for us. And of course, we had Russell fumbling right there, and I was like, man, you can't. I mean, no more of a Falcon play than that when you can. About to ice the game. And then what killed me too, man, on that play, I immediately on Twitter, it was like, how do you call that play? He had the first down. Like, what? You can't say that there's a bad play call. It was fine.
It wasn't a bad play call.
That.
The one thing you cannot do in that situation is cough it up.
Yeah.
And, how does that happen?
No, that's not on Arthur Smith, man. The dude made the play. He made the first down, and he fumbled the ball. Like, I don't want to hear about it.
Me and you were texting, stay aggressive, don't just run up the middle and try to bleed clock. There's way too much time at the time. And they did. I mean, you can't complain at all about the play call, and Gage just can't fumble the ball. You cannot fumble the ball.
No, yeah, exactly. And, you could tell on the sideline, he was, he hated it. I mean, I felt bad for him, but I was like, damn, dude. Yep. Of all the times in the game to do that. But yeah, I've been looking individually. I mean, Tim Boyle, he was 24 of 34, 187 yards, 1 touchdown. Only averaged, like we just said, he averaged 5.5 yards a pass. So, I mean, it's not like he was, like I said, killing us. He had all day long to pick out his 6-yard pass. So that's what he was going to do. He had a quarterback rating of 81. Matt on the other side was 18 for 24, 215 yards, 1 touchdown. Sacked 3 times, had a QB rating of 115.8. So, good day for Matt. Wasn't outstanding, he's just good. He's just his regular good self. We didn't make any bad decisions. So yeah, nothing wrong there. Our rushing, basically Cordell and Mike Davis split the carry, 7 each. Mike actually got the best of them on Sunday. He got 28 yards and Cordell 14. Receiving wise, obviously.
Yeah, if you would have told me that Cordarrelle would have 13, 14 total yards, I would not have thought we would have won the game.
Me either.
No. He had the TD, but yeah, I mean he's been the catalyst for the team this year, and
yeah,
he didn't have a great game. So
no, he didn't. That's the second one in a row too, and that kind of goes, like we talked about before. It all starts in the offensive line. So if you're not getting the push and you're not getting the best running backs in the world, you can't make something out of nothing if you got guys on you a second and a half after you've received the ball. So,
yep.
I think I'd like to see kind of more. I mean, I know they did it with the scoring play, but like more pitches and tosses, because I think when you get him in space, he can create more than just running up the middle. Like Mike Davis, I mean, he's that run up the middle kind of bruiser type of back, he's not going to make you miss. He's just going to run over you, more than likely. On the receiving end, Kyle Pitts, of course, had a huge day, 6 receptions, 102 yards. Had that awesome one-handed catch on the sideline. That was ridiculous. Yeah.
For tight end especially.
Yeah. And then Russell Gage 4 for 39. And then Zacchaeus had a couple of nice catches there. Marvin Hall said, we've been wondering where Marvin Hall was. We asked on the last podcast, we haven't seen him at all. And he looked explosive on that play that he came across. I'm like, man, we could use this dude, maybe get a little bit more aggressive, go downfield. I mean, we don't have a burner, but he'd be it if we, for right now, at least. So I don't know, maybe we see some more of him next week, but and then on defense, nothing crazy on their side. I mean, they didn't, like you said, I mean, they had 4 QB hits, 3 sacks. So, I mean, like you said, Matt was pressured. He only got hit after that first drive. It was like they kind of settled down. And I kind of hoped, after they got embarrassed, like literally just embarrassed, especially Mayfield and McGarry against San Francisco, like I said on the last pod, I really hoped that they come out like, I can't do that again. Like I can't be that bad again. So I don't know whether that was it or not. I mean, part of it's that, part of it's the Lions defensive front, which is about like ours. So, I mean, that's, I think, a little bit of a combination there. And then on our side on defense, Foye, 14 total tackles, 8 solo, 1 tackle for loss. Of course, the big interception that sealed the game for us. And then Deion Jones with 10 total tackles. And I've been giving Deion a little bit of hell this season because other than a few games, I mean, the Miami game, I think he was actually defensive player of the week that game. Because we're just used to seeing him. I know he's in a different position. He's been our middle linebacker for a few years now. So he did comment, I think, to the press that, this is something different for him. He's learning to play more outside and be, but you would think with the guy, and I know he's getting older, but like with his speed, like he's Devin White's who I always, another LSU guy who's all kind of compared him to. Right, Devin, Devin's on another level than Deion is right now. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's just kind of and I'd make it a point, especially this last week, to watch him. And there's some plays, man, it's just like you don't see the finishing. You don't see like this is not I don't know if it's an effort thing or if it's just like, and before you'd see him kind of fight through a block, or shed a block or something like that. And then now it's like if the block is there, he just kind of almost gives up. It's just like, and it's, I don't know.
Yeah, no, Devin White's a great comparison. I thought Deion could get there. I really thought he would. He's not. You said he's old. He's not that old. He's only been in the league. This is his third, fourth year. But
Devin or Deion?
Yeah, he just seems to be getting worse, not better, and that's what's been discouraging for me. I mean, to me, his first couple of years were really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if it's just the fact that it is the new position. He's kind of having to, get more in coverage and, cover more, I don't know what it is, but it just seems like sometimes the effort's not quite there and just kind of falling off a little bit. AJ Terrell, another good game. Mike and I talked pretty much extensively last week about how, it's ridiculous he's not in the Pro Bowl, but I do think next year when people kind of see him, and then, I mean, like I said, nobody knew who he was at all last year. And then this year, he's just kind of quietly putting together that, that resume, which I'll give it to you, man. Trevon Diggs, that dude's pretty serious. I mean, even with the yards he gives up, I mean, he must do a lot of film study because that dude picks balls that, it's like he knows it's coming sometimes. So, I mean, props to him on that. He deserved to go for sure. But, looking at the, yeah, I mean, and Cordero was returning kickoffs again. They had him back there, and I mean, not too bad, 26-yard average. I like him back there because he's fast. He's big. I mean, and I like Avery Williams as a punt returner better. I mean, at least me. What do you think?
No, I completely agree. Cordero is elusive, but fast and big. I mean, he can do it all. You know, I didn't know much about him before this year, but he has had a really, really good year, at least when he's healthy.
Yeah, honestly, I just thought he was just a special teams guy. That's all I ever thought he was. You know, the occasional wide receiver type of. You know, I mean, I give credit to Arthur because nobody's ever tried to use him like this.
Yep.
So, I mean, you know, it's like, but he saw probably like, okay, this is almost Derrick Henry like, but like a lot probably. I don't even want to say faster because Derrick Henry is just a. He's a freak of nature, but I mean,
no, you're right, and Derrick Henry is a complete, absolute freak of nature, but there is comparisons there. I mean, he's got the same type of body and kind of, so that's a pretty good comparison.
Yeah, and then special teams wise, man, Thomas Morstead, who knew, would come in and just, I mean, like he's been. I don't say he's been the key, but man, when you put your defense is not great already, and you give him and you put him in a good situation like he's been doing, like giving him long, fields to defend. I mean, that's great because I mean he was averaging again. He had a 61-yarder, averaged 57.5 out of the 2 punts that he had. I mean, he's been great, and one punt inside the 20 again. So yeah, who knew that Colquitt getting COVID would benefit the
blessing in disguise. Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad Colquitt's okay, but I mean, also glad that I just said it. I think during on the podcast, I said it jokingly. I was like, "Well, shit, man, let's just keep Morstead because tell Colquitt not to worry about coming back, and I'll be damned. Very next week, they're like, Colquitt's cut and Morstead's on the team. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, So health wise, we've been okay. I mean, we didn't have too many guys out. I mean, Sharp was out from the injury he suffered last week. John Kaminsky was out, and then Josh Andrews on the offensive line. Of course, Ridley was still out, and I'm pretty sure, obviously, he's done for the season now.
Sounds like he's done. Yeah, that's everything I'm hearing.
Like I said, I mean, Mike and I, we talked about last week. I mean, we've heard rumors that he's done with like football. So that's crazy. I mean, but yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. So, and looking at the Pro Football Focus, the PFF grades for the game, so it was pretty interesting. The top offensive grade, no surprise, Kyle Pitts, 92.9. That's been his best performance of the year as far as PFF goes. Chris Listrom, man, dude continues to kill it on the offensive line. One of the few guys that are, and we talked about it last week. His mother just passed away this past week, and then I didn't know if he's going to play or not. And not only did he play, but he comes out and makes his best game of the season. I mean,
day after Christmas with that on your mind is pretty impressive.
And you see that all the time. I mean, when guys lose parents, and it seems. I mean, you remember the Brett Favre game after his dad passed? Mm-hmm. That was the most insane stuff I've ever seen. It was like he just threw the ball up in the air, and I mean, it was unreal. I mean, I still to this day have never seen anything like that. I think it was against the Raiders. I think it was.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, just crazy. But yeah, so big ups to Chris for just toughing it out and just having a hell of a game. And then Matt, 87.5. And this one kind of surprised me. Hennessy, 84.3, because I remember a few plays, and this is the being a fan part and watching it. That's what gets you sometimes, because like you said, and we were talking about it before the show actually. You can make a blanket statement. It's like, oh, this offensive line sucks, but you don't see the individual performances sometimes, or you may see a guy like I watched Henny get beat a few times. I'm like, damn, he just got ran by, but you don't know if he was trying to cover for somebody else, and that wasn't his mistake, So I mean, you don't know that. We don't know that. We just see him getting beat. So, but apparently some of those were he was covering for somebody else because he had 84.3. And then, I mean, I think he only had the one play, but Marvin Hall, 76.4. So that was our top five on offense. And then on defense, really cool to see Richie Grant, 80.9. So that was pretty solid. And he was in a lot of different plays. He was in the backfield. He was making tackles. He was in pass defense. Mike and I both have been big on him. I mean, did you watch him much in college? Did you, other than just the highlight packages? I mean,
yeah, other than
yeah.
yeah.
The same here. Yeah, I mean, I probably saw a few games, Central Florida, because Central Florida, it's not on TV that much. But yeah, I mean, what you saw in his highlight reel, that's what you would think a safety needs to be, and
Exactly.
just needs experience. And then Mikal Walker, 78.5, Foyer, 76.1. Fabian Moreau, 73.5. So don't often hear his name associated with a good PFF score, so that's good. And then Avery Williams, 72.2. They've asked a lot from Avery on defense. He thought he was going to come in and be a punt returner, and they've all of a sudden he's a nickelback, or he's in there helping out. So good on him. That just shows our lack of depth. So he's had to help out. They're pretty much there everywhere. And then some other notable ones. One of the worst ones. Darren Hall, man, 26.
Yeah, I want to hear the worst ones.
Darren Hall, 26.1.
Wow.
But he got beat bad on that one earlier in the game. And he was, I didn't think he was great. CP, well, we talked about it, didn't have a great game, 46.1. Dante Fowler, Mike's favorite player.
Good old Dante Fowler.
41.1. He's, I don't know, man. Like he just, like I said, he's got, like Mike said, I think a few weeks ago, like he looks like, and he has all the attributes you want of an edge rusher, but there's no nothing to back it up. There's stats to back it up.
I thought he would be that difference maker. I mean, I thought he was a good pickup, and he's had a good career.
Yeah.
What happened? Is he just
I don't know, man.
old or?
It's where we're apparently where edge pass rushers come to die. Like once I mean, who's the dude we got from Minnesota a few years ago? Remember talking about? He was terrible. I mean, just god awful. I can't remember his name because he boxed. That was like his thing. He was a boxer.
Yes. Oh my God. I can't think of his name.
I try to forget shit like that. So I mean, that's probably why. But I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, that's just one example. But I mean, like, man, it just seems we can't catch an edge rusher to save our lives, and he's not a cheap edge rusher like we talked about in the salary.
No, they paid him big money. Like
$10 million a year. So,
yep.
And then see AJ Terrell, 61.9. So not his best of the year, but I don't really care. He's you can have a bad game every now and then or not do for what he's done for us this year. And then our boy Jalen Mayfield, 52.2, and we've already talked about him, but yeah, it's just, I mean, the pass blocking
where he's been living.
Yeah, or below. Yeah.
Might have been a good game for him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, and this I mean, like I said, the pass protection just has been just anemic, and for him, and I don't know. I mean, it's like you said, he's young, and this is his first year. This regime drafted him, so I have a hard time believing they're just going to cut bait and say we screwed up. Yep. You hardly see any coach or GM do that with the player they just drafted. Yep. So exactly. I think he'll be back. I mean, it's just a matter of you think he's not going to get worse. Cross your fingers. He's not going to get worse. But like we said last week, Matt can't go through another season like this next year. Because he's not going to make it eventually. And I thought, shout out to the Rise Up Reader. If you guys follow them on their blog for the Falcons on Twitter, they had a pretty funny tweet, and I thought was pretty accurate of the season. If you're a Marvel fan, at least you'll understand this. The Falcons have held each of football's Infinity Stones at different points in the team's history, but they've never held them all at once. This year they have held the Health Stone, which is true. We hardly have any guys hurt this year,
they've been healthy,
except for
Ridley, of course.
Right. And the Luck Stone, there's 7-2, had a few things go our way, but not the Mind Stone or the Skill Stone. So I mean,
most notably Skill Stone. They don't have the talent.
No. I mean, it was, it's like it's funny because we were talking. I mean, and people. I heard earlier today, and I keep hearing on different podcasts or different, on Twitter, like, we're not a playoff team. Well, no, I know we're not literally a playoff team, but if we would have made the playoffs, doesn't mean this just means you're in. It doesn't mean what was it? 7-9 team, got in. So I mean, it's not like, I mean, I don't know. Like Mike and I talked about, like it's kind of a double-edged sword. You want to get the guys in and have experience and have that type of, like I said, just have that experience. But at the same time, you don't want to have them go in and lose 50-0 or something just and get blown out. Because what does that really do for you? I mean, if you're, even if you're a rookie or something like that, like, okay, well, I could have done that. anywhere. So, I don't think we're going to beat the Bills up in Buffalo. I think we're already a 2-touchdown dog already.
Yeah, I've seen 14. Yeah.
Yeah. So Troy will be back actually later on in the week for the preview show. So we'll get into more of that later on. But I think that's going to be rough. I think it looks like I think I heard Ian Book may be starting for the Saints
Tonight, right?
Yeah.
I think he is. Simeon, I guess, is he COVID or I don't
even know. I just saw
Ian Book is starting. No, I mean, to me, that's the one that they could win, depending on Saints' injury situation. The Saints may or may not be playing for the playoffs in that game, but the Falcons, doesn't matter, what the record is, if they're out of the playoffs, whatever. I mean, that's obviously the Saints. So, no, it's a very winnable game in Atlanta, which doesn't necessarily mean anything as we've seen this year. First home win yesterday.
Yeah,
that's a winnable game. I mean, obviously they beat them in New Orleans, pretty much at full strength. So
yeah,
they could win that game.
Right. And I'm not going to say anything because I wasn't at the game and you weren't at the game, so we can't really talk. But man, like looking on TV, it's embarrassing, man. Like, we if you could have moved everybody down, and I don't know if you'd have filled up the bottom bowl.
No, I mean, you're right. Again, I'm a season ticket holder, and I'm as guilty as anyone of that, especially yesterday. I was planning to go, and then kind of at the last minute ended up not going. But no, it is. I mean, it is not the home field advantage that you would want, for any. We go on a long tangent about that, the kind of the corporate and atmosphere of the Benz, but it's not a dome field advantage like you would want. So it's kind of.
And of course Atlanta is, it's different. It's kind of shifted. I don't know how you feel about it, but when the Braves moved, like we've had good attendance ever since they moved. And I know it's because they moved closer to where their main fan base is.
Traffic. Yep.
So I get that, but it's not to get to Mercedes-Benz, and it's not a hard. It's not hard.
Plenty of ways to get there.
Yeah, it's not a difficult thing.
I do think that a lot of it is just the product there. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
In 16, it was a rocking environment.
Absolutely.
But that was, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was, I believe, the last year at the Georgia Dome. Is that right?
I think so.
So, yeah. The biggest gripe that I have, and again, I don't want to get on some long tangent about it, but it's just not like I haven't, and granted, have we had any like really big games in the Benz? I don't I'm talking actually mean something,
I don't think so.
I just haven't been, and I go to quite a few games, and I haven't been to that game where it's just like rocking.
Mm-hmm.
And what about rocking is it's 95% Falcons fans and it's loud, and they're working. I was at the NFC Championship against the Packers, and that was, it was like rocking atmosphere, and it wasn't all Green Bay fans like what we're used to in Atlanta, whether you're talking about Braves or Falcons or Hawks or whatever. But I just haven't seen that at the Benz, and I don't know if it's just the ticket prices or I don't know what it is, but I don't know, man. I just haven't seen that rowdy Falcons fan atmosphere there.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of those things. I think that ticket prices definitely had a lot to do with it, and especially initially when the PSLs first came out. You and I both listen to Sports Talk here in Atlanta, and how many fans called in was like, I can't afford to go anymore.
That's it. And
he literally priced out some of the most devoted fans, which is a shame because that's, you've got a city that's already very, very transient, and you've got people that move here from all over the place that are going to be fans of their team. So the last thing you really want to do is alienate your core fan base because I don't really give. Okay, you have a $2 hot dog, great, big freaking deal. I can't afford to get in to eat the $2 hot dog.
Yep, exactly. So, I think that's pretty much what it comes down to. All the people holding the really good seats are businesses, corporations, whatever, and the people going on corporate seats are not the fans. Even you and I, my seats are 300 level. And my PSL was like $500 a ticket, which isn't just. But you get anything below the upper nosebleeds, and it was outrageous. And your average casual, even big fan isn't going to pay that.
Right.
So,
I looked. I looked at the 200 level, and it was
outrageous. Yes.
Dude, I mean, and for a family of 3 or 4 or 5, I mean, there's no way unless you're just,
Yep.
I mean, to have that much disposable income, I mean, congratulations if you do. I mean, that's fantastic. But I mean, that's not the everyday fan.
No, it's not your average Falcons fan, especially.
Hell no. And it's, I don't know. I mean, it's I get jealous, man. I get jealous watching like KC and Pittsburgh and some of these, hell, even the Saints. I mean, like they're just seeing those fan bases and how they get it packed and they get loud. Like I just get jealous watching it. And I don't get, like, I'm not a season ticket holder. I don't, get down to as many games. We normally get to like, maybe 3 or 4 a year. And Mike, I don't know if Mike still has his season tickets or not. He was at the Dome. I don't know if he renewed them or kept them, but he was almost there every week. I know he's not. I know he hasn't been. I think he's been to 2 games this year. But yeah, I mean, it's different though. I mean, it's just, like I said, you want to, if you're planning on taking your family, you have to almost prepare for it, like budget out for it.
Yep.
And if you buy the tickets on the secondary market, that's even probably more expensive sometimes.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's like you said, I against the Saints, I expect it to be better just because it's the Saints, and they're going to be in the building, and so
it will. I mean, that's the one to do if you want a pretty rowdy atmosphere. I've been to that game. I try to go to that game every year, and that is the one. There will be a lot of Saints fans there, but it's rocking. I mean, I will say it's close to the kind of the old Georgia Dome experience that I've had in the Bens.
Yeah, you're probably right. And I mean, and it's Chris, that comes on the show with us for the preview show. Like his family moved here after Katrina, and like so many other families did, from Louisiana. So I mean, it's there's a lot of Saints fans. There were Saints fans. There was there before that happened, but there's even more now. So it sucks when there's even half and half. Like it shouldn't be that way. Like you got it, But I'm optimistic that next year, like I'm never. I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm optimistic about the direction. I see potential in a lot of young guys. I just think that, with the salary cap going up and the position we're going to be in, I do think it's likely they're going to extend Matt. I just don't see how you not, because I just don't see you paying him $40 million next year.
It's going to be interesting. It really is. I guess that's the number one question going into the offseason.
Yeah. I mean, and I like Mike said too, I hope you do extend him. I don't expect, and don't get us wrong, or don't get me wrong. Just because I say I want him extended doesn't mean I want him to be our quarterback for the next 5 years. That just means I want more cap space so we can actually do stuff. And if we end up trading him, we end up trading him. I mean, like that's the thing. And actually, I'm not going to toot my own horn here or anything, and this is all a rumor, but I said off the top of my head a few weeks ago that a team that might be interested might be the Steelers, possibly. And then I saw the Falcoholic actually posted an article today that that there was a rumor that the Steelers could be a landing spot for Matt because Ben's going to be gone.
No, he would be a good kind of stopgap guy for a few years till they find that the next guy.
But I mean, if that's the case, then that means we're drafting a quarterback, or we're making a change a hell of a lot quicker than we maybe thought we were. And I don't. Arthur loves Matt to death, so I don't see him wanting to make a change from him unless there's just a very very seeable decline in his overall play or performance, and there really hasn't been. I mean, like I said, I mean, like we talked about, you can't point to him, and sure, there's situations where we'd love to have running quarterback in that situation, where he could have got out, maybe did something, but I mean, if you have this, you surround him with the right guys, and you actually put a team around him like we've seen before, I mean, he's fine. My God, didn't he just tie Eli Manning for wins or something like that? And I mean, he's going in the Hall of Fame, or whether anybody likes it or not. So
completely agree. And I was, one of the interesting things about y'all's pod last week is the footwork comment. I never probably would have thought that, and he's definitely not known for his elusiveness, or certainly not for speed, but the fact that you got respected folks in the NFL talking about kind of model him for his footwork in the pocket is pretty amazing. And I probably wouldn't have thought that, but it's not surprising kind of now, after it was said. Yeah,
because he's a smart dude, obviously. I mean, he's not. Yeah, I mean, he studies probably more than anyone, and he's talked about. He said it before too. Like it's not. I think he jokes about, he pokes fun at himself about his athleticism because, he always thinks he's like, he's pretty athletic, pretty fast, which once on TV, it looks like he's got, he's running in the sand, it looks like, it looks like it's the most painful thing ever. Yeah. And it's like, you just want to push him, help him to go faster. And you can't. But it's definitely more than that. It's the footwork inside the pocket, knowing when to move up, when to move out, when to get outside the pocket. And unfortunately, he's having to do that a lot this year because he doesn't have much time to make a decision. So
always under duress.
Yeah. So, and that being said, going into next year too, Lindstrom definitely, he's not going anywhere. Matthews is solid. McGarry, I'm not sold on. Mayfield, I'm not sold on. Hennessy looks like he's got pretty solid potential to stay there. So I don't really see him going offensive lineman in the first. I think they got to address it. I think they need to have somebody there in the worst case scenario that Mayfield is just the same guy again as he is this year as he is next year. You can't let him keep doing that. You got to set him down at some point and put somebody else in there. So I think that might be something they do, maybe free agency wise. I don't know. But yeah, I can definitely. If they don't go pass rusher, I'll be shocked because
I agree. That's what they have. They have to pass rush.
Even if Ridley says I'm not coming back, you can find a receiver somewhere else, or they just don't take receiver number one. I don't care if Jamison Williams is there. And that kills me to say it because that dude is fantastic. And talk about a game changing receiver. I think he's going to be that at the next level too. But yeah, I just don't. I don't know. I don't think it's the fan base would have a freaking coronary if they chose like a skill position guy.
Yep.
Yeah. So if it's not one of the two, and I won't be pissed if they pick offensive lineman because it is a need. But that's part of the deal. Like there's so many holes that we kind of have, So I don't know. It'll be interesting. There's, unfortunately, I think I'd love to have Aiden Hutchinson, but I think he'll be gone in the first 2 or 3 picks.
He's a beast.
Yeah,
he is a beast.
Good to see him on display in a few days against Georgia, so that should be interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Assuming the game happens, doesn't get canceled for COVID, right?
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know about you. Like a lot of my Georgia friends are pretty, very confident almost too confident in my eyes about this game. I don't know about you.
About the game? Oh yeah. Well, I think, and shout out to my Georgia fan friends and family, but they're always kind of overconfident, right?
Man.
At least the ones in my small little world, they were super confident in the Bama game. I think it's kind of a world of naivety that a lot of Georgia fans live in. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, and it's funny. Our mutual friend Paul, we were talking about it before the game, and I told him, I was like, dude, I think the only advantage I saw that Bama had was at quarterback, and of course, obviously Saban, and then
yes,
and then Jamison Williams, I said that. Other than that, I said, because literally, I've never seen a defense like that before from Georgia or hardly any other team, to be honest with you. Like this year during the regular season, it was insane.
You're talking about before that game. I kind of fell into the trap too. I was like, their defense is definitely, and they will probably shut down Alabama. And boy, was I proved to be wrong. But no, you're spot on. The difference in those two teams, obviously coaching is a big thing. I think Kirby's a good coach for the most part, but quarterback.
You
the Heisman winner and 5-star number 1 overall quarterback, and then you got a walk-on smart guy, but a walk-on. And I kind of said even really during the entire season, they didn't play anybody really during the regular season, and you're not going to get to the promised land with Stetson Bennett. I hate to say it, but they kind of JT kind of always there in the wing, probably even playing more than he did, and they for whatever reason chose not to.
Yeah, that blows me. There's got to be something behind the scenes going on there because
he may be a complete whatever. I have no idea. I don't know that kind of inside intel, but it is. They thought that they could get to the promised land with Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, and that's. I was talking with Paul and a few other guys too. It's like I thought if we got up, then we would have an advantage because there's no way Stetson's bringing you back with his arm.
Yep.
Because and not having George Pickens for I mean, he was on the play field he made a big catch when he was on the field. But I
Yes,
mean,
he
that
did.
dude makes a big difference. So, but dude, I watched Michigan in a couple of games this year. And they were pretty damn impressive, man. I mean, I know it's a Big Ten and it's not, the SEC and everybody got the SEC bias, but I mean, I think it's going to be an interesting game.
No, I mean, I completely agree. I thought before that Ohio State game that Ohio State was the team that would give Georgia.
Yeah.
And Michigan made them look pretty bad. I mean, Michigan looked good. That and I guess the Michigan State game are probably the only two that I saw Michigan. So I'm not, I don't know a lot, but I do not have that SEC bias. And no, I mean, from what I saw in that Alabama game, Georgia was and is very overrated this year. Their defense, especially. I mean, they didn't play a good. And that's all there is to it. They did not play a good offense, especially before Alabama.
Yeah, their secondary, I think, is their biggest weakness because their front seven was out, and then their secondary wasn't tested that much because their front seven was so good. So, and like you said, I mean, the amount of the quarterbacks they faced, though, there was, they weren't, they weren't up to par as far as what they were going to face with Alabama. So, I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting, man. I think it's going to be a fun night of football to watch. But yeah. So
I just hope and pray everybody's at full strength and there's not like Bryce COVID the day before or something stupid.
Dude, did you see the lineup the Hawks are going to have tonight?
It's ridiculous. So
how is that even happening? Like,
so what I heard is I think you have to have 8 and they have 10, but they don't have a point guard. They don't have a power forward. It's just absolutely insane.
Trey got cleared like 2 hours ago.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Because I was just happened to saw something popped up on my phone that said he had a second negative test. He was cleared to play tonight.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's good. Okay. Well, then I lied about not having a point guard, but yeah. But I mean, who else? I mean, I know
we have no forwards.
No forwards. Yep. Absolutely insane.
I was so pissed because I was looking so forward to that Knicks game on Saturday. Or on Christmas. I mean, and then to not have Trey, and to have the freaking Knicks fans sit there and chant "fuck you, Trey" at the end of he's not even on the court.
Not even there. It wasn't even in the city.
Ah, my God, it's great though because that just shows you. Like I saw so many tweets, like man, living rent free in their heads, which is like perfect. Exactly. Yes, he definitely is. But yeah, I mean, like I said, hopefully this COVID mess will calm down a little bit because. All around sports because the NHL took time off and I mean the Premier League and over in Europe's getting hit hard by it. So it's just it sucks. I mean I guess the only plus side is it doesn't seem to be near as deadly or as bad as the Delta was or the Alpha or whatever the hell the original version was. I don't know where we're at now. But it's
Omicron.
I don't even want to get into it, man. But so anyway, so we'll that pretty much closes out the show for the most part. We like I said, we'll be back to do the preview probably Thursday-ish if your schedule is good. We'll figure it out Thursday, Friday. But before we go though, how was your Christmas, man? Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, no, it was good. We it's pretty uneventful. We stayed in town and didn't do a whole lot, which was a good thing. I kind of like you and Mike have been very busy the last couple months and definitely been good to relax. This is our first year. So for everyone out there, I've got twin, just turned 4-year-olds. So this is our first year to do Elf on the Shelf. So I'll say that it was very difficult. Pinterest and whatever else, Google, but to find 24, 25 days of Elf on the Shelf stuff. But all I can say is, needless to say, we are very thankful to send that dude back to the North Pole. It was a struggle.
Man, look, I could talk for a whole episode about Elf on the Shelf. That was the worst damn thing anybody's ever invented. So whoever did that, screw you.
And hopefully my kids can't hear me right now, but because they loved it. I mean, like,
oh yeah, dude, Liam ate it up. He was like, he couldn't believe it. Like one day I had him hanging from like the ceiling thing. And he was like, oh my God, how did he get up there? He is magical.
Dude, it was like the first thing every morning. Like his name is Elvis. I don't know if it's Elvis or Elvis, but yeah, that's his name. And it was like every morning, where's Elvis? Where's Elvis? Got to find Elvis. So the problem is, I mean, we're stuck. We have to do this, at least until they figure out, what's actually happening.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much backed ourselves into a corner where we're stuck with this for the next few years at least.
Did you see they have a Snoop on a stoop? Snoop Dogg?
No, I hadn't heard that one.
Dude, Google it. Google Snoop on a stoop.
Is it the same idea? Just it's
Same deal, just Snoop Dogg.
I think we might should do that next year.
I think you should totally do that next year.
So that
like I might have more fun doing that one because you could, yeah. But I told you that was terrible. I mean, Liam found out last year about Santa, so he would have been
really,
yeah. So because you know what, dude, I mean, we work hard, and you know, I got kind of tired of seeing and getting all the benefit, you know, all the praise for these badass toys. You know, I'm like, man, like you have no idea, like you know. But
that's what's so funny. So we did kind of split. You know, we laid it, like we set up the Santa toys. You know, we and everything the night before, or whatever, and then we had like the us mom and dad toys, whatever. And you know, 20 minutes after opening the presents, whatever, the mom and dad presents, you know, we were like, no, which one does Santa get us in? And of course, me, I'm like, all of them. You know, I'm like, I want the credit for it, of course. And Mandy's like, oh, no, maybe. But most of it was Santa. Like, come on now.
Fucking Santa. No, dude, I was like, I forgot. I don't know how we said it. We talked about it. I think we were in the car, and he was like, I was like, sorry. I said, are you excited for Santa? He was like, yeah. And I said, hey, so you still totally on board with that and everything? And he was like, yeah, why not? I said, you never thought about it? You know, like how many kids there are in the world and how many stops he's got to make and, you know, all that stuff. And I could see the wheels turning a little bit in his head. And he was like, yeah, it's true. You know, like, how does that happen? I'm like, well, it doesn't. And no, it wasn't like that. Like I broke it kind of easier to him.
Yeah.
You know, like,
so what did he say? Was he devastated?
No, he was. I mean, he was a little upset. Like at first he didn't believe me, dude. He thought I was messing with him. Like he was dead on. Like he was like, no, like screw you, Santa is real, and I know he's real. But no, I was like, no, man, it's, you know, I was like, we do it. We buy all the presents, you know, everything. And he was like, oh. So I was like, yes, all the awesome shit you got, like that's all us, you know. So but yeah, so he's good though. He's totally fine. Now what's funny now is he has friends that still believe, right? And so he'll be like, man, my buddy, he still believes. It's such a sad thing to see. I'm like, dude, you just believed, you know, 6 months ago. Now you're talking about such a sad state of affairs it is that these guys still believe in Santa. So it cracks me up. But yeah, so yeah, we did too. We just laid low. We opened presents, of course, and we watched Premier League a lot, and just laid around, ate a lot, man. Ate so much food. I think I ate more during this than I did during Thanksgiving, to be honest.
Man.
Yeah, I don't know. But so now just kind of getting back. It's kind of weird. I kind of hate that. I wish it was more of a like just have well, you're kind of off all week for the most part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish I could just do that because it's like, in our business, it's like we come back from Christmas and like, okay, go. Then it's stop right at New Year's, you know what I mean? And like, well, why don't we just chill? Let's just chill the entire time. You know, nobody write any policies. Let's just chill. You know, that doesn't happen. But yeah, so anyway, guys, well, I think we've rambled on enough about various topics. And but hey, happy we got the win yesterday. You know, win's a win, even though it was a crappy-ish looking win. It doesn't matter. We beat the Lions, and that's all that matters. So we will have, like I said, the preview show coming up in a few days. It'll be Troy and I again, and we'll have some different topics to talk about on top of the Buffalo game and leading into the last game of the season. After that, we'll have Chris back next week for the Saints preview show for the last week of the season, and then we'll go on from there. So, Troy, you got anything else to add, man? Are you good?
Oh, man, I enjoyed it. Thanks again for having me on. Looking forward to the Bills preview. Should be.
Heck yeah. I appreciate you coming on and filling in for Mike, and he appreciates it too. So, guys, we appreciate you guys listening and taking the time as always. You can, like I said before at the beginning of the show, if you can leave us a 5-star review, follow, subscribe, tell your friends, your family, all your Falcons friends out there. We would greatly appreciate it. So that is it for us. We will catch you again in a few days. We're out.